What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Bench Warmers. Today, we're talking about the depth chart, analyzing them, seeing who plays, who might not, who might break out, or who might get a little more playing time than usual. My name is JJP with Komish. Let's get the ball rolling. We'll probably do it alphabetically with starting with the Hawks. We'll do 5 teams per episode. Let's go. Wait, let me share first.
Maybe we mention somebody we feel will be overdrafted, some who we feel will be a little underdrafted or a little bit of a sleeper. And somebody to watch out for. Somebody to watch out for.
All right. First, the Atlanta Hawks. The point guard, the starters, projected starters: Trae Young, DeJounte, DeAndre Hunter, Saddiq Bey, and Clint Capella. I don't think, of course, they lost. Finally got rid of John Collins this year. That opens up that power forward position, and I think that's where opportunities might be present.
Yeah, I think everything else is the same as last year. There are certain storylines that we have to watch out for when training camp starts, which is, as you said, power forward position, who will start. As of here, it's Saddiq Bey, and I think it should be Saddiq Bey. But outside of that, of course, the Capella Okongwu situation. People might think Okongwu will start with Capella. That won't happen. They haven't played both of them together. So I don't think the John Collins trade opens up anything for Okongwu. No? So I think Okongwu and Capella will be basically the same. I think 24-24 or maybe 26-22, something like that. But both of them will be worthy to be drafted. But do not overdraft Okongwu just because you think Collins was traded out. No, so that's basically the situation, I think, here in Atlanta. So
not much has changed really, other than maybe Patty Mills is there, and of course John Collins. The rest, I don't think it changes a lot. Maybe Trae and DeJounte will probably be the same. The Andre Hunter probably be the same. So Dean probably gets a boost a little bit. Capella and Okongwu, like you said, will be. I think AJ Griffin. I like to watch or see AJ Griffin because he played a lot. He played some good games last year.
I like. Well, he played good games, but AJ is a little empty stats. He's basically a 3-point shooter. It's basically a 3-point shooter. So I don't like it fantasy wise. I like Jalen Johnson actually. The guy to watch here will be Jalen Johnson. He's a sort of a sleeper, sort of something like that. If there is one here in Atlanta, but of course, again, it's no guarantee that John Collins was traded away. Jalen Johnson will suddenly get a lot of minutes, but the opportunity is there, and he's got a good fantasy game. The defensive stats are there, defense and everything. So, Jalen Johnson is the guy I want to watch out. Saddiq Bey, no. Don't draft him. Don't draft him. He's not a good.
He's not a good. He player. Doesn't have a good, fantasy friendly game.
Yes.
More 3-point shooting, and plus, of course, he's gonna share a lot of usage with guys like Trae, DeJounte, DeAndre Hunter, Capella. Those are somehow high usage players. Unlike when Saddiq was in Detroit, he can have some higher usage there, but here, I don't think he will.
Yes,
have some higher usage. He's more of a role player here in Atlanta. All right, let's move on to Boston. So not much excitement here in Atlanta as far as maybe Okongwu. The only excitement there is waiting for Capella to get injured so Okongwu gets more minutes. I think that's the one thing that you have to watch out for.
True.
Considering that Capella is very fragile player. Boston. Let's move on to Boston. Boston had an overhaul well, somewhat of an overhaul because Marcus Smart is now not in Boston, but Kristaps Porzingis is with Boston now. So how does this change the dynamics of this team? Other than those
Well,
two players I mentioned, other than Marcus Smart and Kristaps, not much has changed as well.
but they lost a lot of depth. If you look at this
Yeah, they
depth chart, what happened there? There. If you look at the depth chart, yeah, they have three bigs: Horford, Kristaps, and Robert Williams. But there are other depth there. The wings, they don't have anybody else backing up their top two stars. They don't have,
mhm,
well, Brogdon and White are still the same. But last year they had Marcus Smart there. Marcus Smart plugged a lot of holes. Marcus Smart
yeah,
could play point guard. He could play big on defense. He could play wing. He could play a lot of things. That's gone. They replaced him with Kristaps, who's just a center. No, purely a center, a big man. So that would be something to watch out. Will somebody step up in that bench? Their rookie is Jordan Walsh. They have O'Shea Brissett. We know O'Shea from Indiana,
mhm,
who in certain periods of time was fantasy relevant. No, when Indiana was tanking or resting their players. So somebody might step up there. So we watch out for that in the, if we're looking for a sleeper or a Hail Mary there. But outside of that, maybe the biggest question mark is how does Kristaps affect everybody else? Will he affect
especially Robert Williams.
Robert Williams and Al Horford? No, I
Yeah,
don't
but
know.
Robert Williams was drafted. Is a favorite in the early rounds, right? Of fantasy drafts.
Yes, but I don't think he will be this year. I don't think he should be top 30, top 40, top 50. He's going 90s. He's going 80s to 90s to 100, which is about right. But it also affects Kristaps himself. I don't think
Mhm.
he'll get as much usage in Boston. No, so I don't think he's gonna score in the high 20s or the way he scored in Washington. I don't think that will happen. Plus the fact that he's dealing with a plantar injury right now, it is something in Boston that I think they will manage. Now they will manage uh, more carefully than if he was in Washington. So I think Kristaps should also take a hit. Maybe for me, he's a third round guy. Maybe closer to the mid to late third round guy. I know what kind of upside Kristaps has in fantasy, but this is just uh, a tough situation for him to go into because Brown, Tatum, taking most of the usage for
Um,
Boston.
a player, I'm not sure if he might get under the radar, but he usually does, is Derek White.
Well, not this year. He's being picked early. Well, early for his standards, around in the 70s. No, for
Mhm.
Derek White because of no Marcus Smart, and I think it's right. I think it's right. He should be in the 75, 85, around 75 to 85, around that range. If you lost out on point guards early on, he's the guy you will be targeting at that range, at
Yeah.
the
Uh,
seventh round, maybe sixth to seventh round of the draft. Yeah.
yeah, and he's as solid as they come when it
He's
comes
still
to the
solid. He's
point
still
guard.
solid, but I
Yeah.
just don't feel he's a great value this year compared to last few years because
Yeah.
his draft
Yeah,
spot is already
because he
high.
was under the radar for
Yeah.
the past few years.
Yes. Yes. That's my
So
only thing about Derek White, but he's always been there. The blocks for a guard and the
yeah,
defensive stats. I think that will continue because who is his backup? Brogdon. Um, I don't even know when Brogdon will get injured. So he's gonna get a lot of minutes. Derek White will get a lot of minutes this
all
year in
right.
Boston.
Any sleeper here? Looking at
I don't see any sleeper. I'm not I have some guesses, but I'm not confident in, as I said, could be O'Shea Brissett, but that's just for very super deep leagues already. But in
yeah.
normal 12 team, 14 teams, none in Boston.
All All right, let's move on to the Brooklyn Nets. Their projected starting lineup: Ben Simmons, Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton. Um, the I guess the changes here: Dennis Smith is with
Yeah.
Brooklyn now. Lonnie Walker is with Brooklyn now. Who else? Yeah, that's it. Pretty much it. Darius Baisley is in Brooklyn, and then that's
Yeah.
it.
The big difference probably with Brooklyn is Ben Simmons. No. What that's the biggest question mark. What Ben Simmons will we get? No. That's the question number one that I think should be answered. He is being picked in the 120s. If you can pick him there, go pick him. I think that's exceptional value, regardless of whether he suddenly doesn't play or whatever. That's
Yeah,
very little
that's
risk,
fine. That's good risk reward pick.
but he's going there. He's going the 110, 115, 120. I think at that range, he's a better, for me, he's a better gamble than Ja Morant. For me at least, because Ja will probably go higher. Ja will probably go in the 80s, no, because
Mm-hmm.
Ja Morant, right? That's still something a valuable
He
pick
might
for
go
me.
higher than that.
Might even go higher than that. But Simmons, if he's there at 115, 110, 115, 120, that's great value. And well, if you want to believe his videos and all the hype news again about him, training and being in the best shape of his life and all of those things. Maybe, there will be some. He's the sleeper. He's the guy. If we've been talking each team one sleeper, he's the
Yeah,
sleeper for me, Ben Simmons. And then the biggest question here is Mikal. For me, Mikal. How do we treat Mikal? Because when he was traded to Brooklyn, he blew up. But there were warning signs. No, the efficiency went down. The defensive
yeah.
stats
Went down.
disappeared. No, and then he scored more. That's the good thing. He became a top scorer, and then now we saw him in Team USA. He was so good. No, he was one of the leaders, one of the best players there. So where do we value him? I don't know where you value him, but Mikal was ranked,
Where's
I
he
think,
going at this point? What's his ADP?
17 to
Second
18.
round?
Yeah, second round, early second actually. Mikal is in the mid to early second round, so that's very high. That's very high. So I don't know if you're comfortable in picking him there. That's the question with Brooklyn for me. Mikal.
I think that I'm more comfortable with the 20s, maybe.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
second round, maybe the late second round to the third, early third. I don't think he's gonna be there at the early third. Interesting for
Uh,
Mikal though.
he's
I
not
think
gonna be
he
there.
move, I think he moves up in his head-to-head rankings and he moves down in his roto rankings.
Yes, basically.
That's what's interesting.
He's not the low usage Mikal anymore. This
Yeah.
is his team. Whether Ben Simmons comes back, however Ben Simmons comes back, it's still Mikal Bridges' team already. So Mikal is the guy that is a big question mark. But late, early third, I will be very happy to pick him there. But he's not gonna reach that position. So if you want him, you have to pick him in the top 20 pick. I think that's where you should pick him. Maybe 2021, 19, 2021, somewhere there. So yeah, he might not be the best value anymore. Could be Cam Johnson. No, I like Cam Johnson. I still feel like he's a solid guy to target wherever he's going, which is closer to the 100, closer to the not 100, sorry, closer to the 80 to 90 range. So Cam Johnson might be the better value here. No, so yeah, and then a position to look out for, maybe the backup center position.
Mhm.
Um, they don't have a
They
backup
didn't have
center.
one last year. They didn't have one last year too.
Yeah, but this year,
They don't
same
have
thing.
one.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. It's the same
same
player,
thing.
Aaron Sharp.
Yeah,
It's the same guy.
there are
Uh,
trade possibilities here. Nick Claxton, of course. If Lillard goes to Brooklyn, which is still possible, you know, however Lillard wants to go to Miami, Claxton might get traded. So that's another risk to consider here in Brooklyn. But Claxton, I think he's another underrated player. People will talk about
definitely
Kessler.
underrated.
Yes, Kessler is going way high. Claxton is not being talked about. but I think they're very similar. They're very similar players.
No, the
So
biggest difference here is that Claxton has steals. Kessler
yeah,
doesn't have steals.
yeah.
And
But
their block rate would probably be, obviously Kessler would probably have a higher block rate, but I
yeah,
don't think Nick Claxton is far behind.
that's true. That's true. They should be side by side. They should be side by side
Yeah.
because their free throws are almost the same. Scoring wise, they're the same. Rebounds, they're the same. They're very the same. But I've seen Kessler going even top 30. I've never seen Claxton do that in any draft. No.
Yeah.
So I
The
think he's
steals are
underrated.
big for Claxton. That's what I like about Claxton, the steals. He gives
Yes.
you 3 steals, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. I don't think Kessler would give you a lot of those type of stats. He might give you 5, 6 blocks a game.
But at
Um,
least I think what with Kessler, the double doubles are more
yeah, there'll be
are
more double doubles
yeah,
because of
yeah.
his rebounding
Yes.
and
Yes.
elite shot blocking. All right, let's move on. Charlotte. We talked about Charlotte a bit in our last episode
Yeah.
because of PJ Washington and Miles Bridges. Now let's look at the depth chart
This one's wrong.
here.
This one's I don't
Oh,
think this
Miles
is how
hasn't
they will
been.
start.
Well, Miles is still here,
Yeah.
but at least Miles is still there.
Yeah, Miles is there, but I don't
We
think
just
Brandon Miller will start at power forward. That's not gonna happen. I think to put PJ on top, I think it's gonna be Lamelo, Rozier, Hayward, PJ, and Mark Williams. That will be their starting five. Now, if
not
Miles
Nick
Bridges,
Richards,
no, not Nick Richards. It's Mark. It's Mark Williams.
not some Nick Richards, some Mark Williams.
I think it's Mark Williams, but we're not Steve Clifford. He has done. He has
Because he's
done.
played around with that. And Ty Jones has
Yes,
made some news in the past few days because of commenting about Mark Williams and Nick Richards.
that's a very good point. You mentioned that because I've never thought of Nick Richards challenging. For me, Mark Williams is the undisputed starting center. That's why he's being picked in the top 70. No, that's what people expect also. Everybody expects that. But you brought out a very good question because it's very possible that uh, Steve Clifford suddenly starts Nick Richards and then plays PJ Washington some small ball center and
And
Mark
it's not going to
Williams.
be surprising too because he did that last year.
True, true. Although
Well, for most of the season, the latter part of the season, he started Mark Williams. But I think he
but I
played
think the
both of them.
trajectory the trajectory from the last part of the season and from what they've been saying this I mean from the whole summer and everything is that Mark Williams will be starting. So that's what we expect. And if he starts, he should be a player again. Another as I said, this year centers there are lots of centers who blocks and rebounds and are solid guys. So Mark Williams is another guy. He's there in the 70s. If you missed out early on centers, he's there. So he's a guy to consider, but with the bigger risk, as you pointed out, there is a bigger risk with him because he's unproven, because of the coach, because of
Yeah.
possible small ball situations, and the signing of PJ and the return of Miles Bridges might affect him also. So lots of risk with Mark Williams, but certainly player to watch out for is Mark Williams.
All right. Miles Bridges is down here. Where do you see him? Backing up Gordon Hayward?
He will start. He will start at power forward. I'm certain. He will start at
So
after 10 games.
it's LaMelo, Rozier, Hayward, Bridges,
Miles.
and Mark.
Mark, yes. That's
All
what
right.
I believe in. And as I said on the last episode also, they have some holes here. The backups point guard. They don't have a backup point guard. I don't think Frank Tilikina or the rookie Nick Smith will get a lot of minutes. It's gonna be Rozier. So when Rozier backs up LaMelo in some of the minutes, you put Brandon Miller there at shooting guard, sometimes at small forward. Plus Gordon Hayward will get hurt. We know that.
At some point.
At some point. When he gets hurt, maybe Miles moves to the small forward position, and then maybe PJ starts at power forward. Eventually it will work out. So for Charlotte, at least it's clear cut. For me, Lamelo is a first rounder. I'll pick him as
Mm-hmm.
high as 9. I'm there at the 9th pick. I know Jeremy was screwed by Lamelo last season. So I don't know.
Not just me. He played what, 30 games?
I don't
I
know your
saw the number of games. I think
confidence.
it's
I don't know
32.
your confidence level in picking him this year, or what you think about his ankle this year. Will it have any effect from last year's injuries?
But the thing
You
is, he's if he's going there at the 9th, 10th, 11th, and plus with all the uncertainties in that range, uh, I don't think you have other choices. Better choices. You have better
That's true.
choices.
That's true. So I think
Everyone's a risk at that point, at that range already.
the smart money is just to pick him there and then hope for the best, because
Yeah,
every other player there is also risky. No,
yeah.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So last for yeah. Anything else?
Nah, good.
Last for today, the Bulls, Chicago Bulls.
Okay,
Well,
I think
just
this is
not
wrong also.
much.
I don't have Dosunmu starting. I have Javon Carter starting. I think he's going to be their starter. So that's the only thing I think should be
Well,
changed.
it's not that this is wrong. It's just that you have a different view, right?
Yeah, I
This
don't think
could
Dosunmu.
they could start the Sunmu.
I don't think they start Dosunmu. They won't start Dosunmu. He might not even be in the rotation, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
Why not?
Javon, I think, will start. They have Caruso. They have
Oh,
Kobe White. So I think Kobe White is actually a player I'm looking out for. People, the fantasy addicts out there know about Javon Carter. Everybody's asking me about Javon Carter because last year in Milwaukee, Javon Carter had. Remember we talked about him in our
yeah. When
quickies.
Drew sits, he has great games.
Yeah, and he will start. He will start here. He will get his chance here. So people think, I think it's gonna be Javon Carter here. But for me, no, he's starting. But there's Levine, there's DeRozan, there's Vucevic. There's still those three guys. He will be the starter, but he won't, suddenly be a top 100 guy. But at least he will start. Kobe White, though, at least there's something with Kobe. The last year, he improved in scoring, efficiencies there also. He improved his point guard skills. He was signed to a new contract,
Mm-hmm.
extended. So I think that means there's a level of commitment from the team. So I believe Kobe will be somebody to watch out for. If there's a sleeper type of player here, aside from Javon Carter, of course, if you can pick him as the last pick of your draft, that's good. But don't pick him any higher. But outside of that, I think it should be Kobe. Should be Kobe White. Out
All right.
the other players here are basically the same from last year. I
Yeah.
don't have any
Uh,
changes here.
Not many are draftable as well. Caruso maybe towards the
Mm,
latter part of the
yeah,
draft,
maybe.
but
My
I don't think
question to
he's
you is
worth it.
maybe Vucevic is my question to you, because a lot of experts have differing opinions on him. Some have him very high. Some have him as a possible bust candidate this year. He played 82 games last year. Is that good or bad? Does that mean he he plays 82 again this year or somewhere close to that? So what's your take on that?
Uh, Third round, I think,
Third round is what?
because he usually
20s,
thirties.
late 20s.
No, maybe the 30s.
Yeah.
Late, late third round, I guess.
Do you think he stays healthy?
Uh, well, it's so hard to say that because anyone can get injured. But he played 82 games. I think he's older. Um, I think part of why he was able to play 82 games is because he's got less usage at this point. He shoots threes. He doesn't post. He doesn't play. Back to the basket as much,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Plus, they've got Levine and DeRozan. I think he's gonna be because he usually goes there at the second round, late second round,
Um yeah,
right?
right now I've seen him sometimes fall, but there are times, yes, you're correct. Some managers who value the, I guess,
The
safe
efficient. I'm not even sure if
security
he's
and
efficient
safety.
anymore.
No. Yeah, he's still efficient. He's still efficient. He's a good, and the percentages are good. They value, he's like the Tobias before. The player
The
who's like
safe pick,
boring,
the
safe
boring
but
safe pick.
boring, safe pick. Yeah, but Tobias, remember, fell off at some point. It's too. There's totally no more upside that he possesses, and I think people are already questioning when that will happen with Vooch. When will it be a point where he's just not at that level anymore, at the top 30 level?
Is he a
So
top 30 player? I don't even know if
in
he's a top
totals, I
30
think he
level.
is. In totals, I think
Because
he
he
is because
played
he played
82
82
games.
games. Yes, that's why he's being picked there. People see the risks of other, because the second round, third round is total crapshoot. Lots of risky players, Kawhi, Paul George are there. A lot of problematic players. Who else? A lot of problematic players in that area. So some people gravitate to players like Vooch. It's safe. You know what you're getting. Especially if in the first
Yeah.
round you got maybe, I don't know, KD or Kyrie or whoever. So they want somebody at least they feel is safe. And that's my contention. I don't know if he's safe because he's been injured before. Last year he was healthy. But I don't know if next year he's gonna stay healthy or
No, I'm
maybe
not. My mindset is, yeah, he's older. I'm looking at the other centers. Maybe the closest I can think of, he's there at the range of the Jarrett Allens. Maybe I think, is that too low?
again, for some it is too low. For me it's just right. For me it's just
Right.
right.
That's where I rank him. I
Yes,
mean, if
that's
I
correct.
compare him to the other centers, I think they both give pretty much the same value. It's just a different stat set, right?
Let's put it
Jarrett
this way.
Allen gives you rebounding and blocks. Vucevic gives you scoring, threes, and some rebounding as well.
Let's put it this way. I think Carl Anthony Towns in some drafts is being picked lower than him. I don't think that is correct.
Yeah, I think Carl Anthony Towns still is. He's younger, way younger, and you know, a better,
Yeah.
more
Yes.
complete
Yes.
in terms of
So
fantasy
so
stats.
for me that's just my thing. Pick him wherever you want to pick him, but Towns
Pick
should
him
be
wherever you
higher.
want to pick him. Well, that goes for everyone, every player you want to pick. Pick them wherever you want to pick them.
Yeah, but
But
but Vooch is 36 in Yahoo. Towns is 39. So that is wrong for me. And I won't pick
no,
Vooch
that's
ahead of.
not too far. That's not too far.
Well,
36
yeah,
and
but
39.
still, there's no way they're similar at this point. I mean, Towns should be way ahead, a different tier
Yeah,
than
yeah.
Butch. I think Wemby is a different tier than Butch also, and even Kristaps. We mentioned about the risk of Kristaps, but I think Kristaps should be ahead of Butch. It's just Butch doesn't block. He doesn't block shots. He he doesn't pass the ball
Yeah.
either. Doesn't have
He's
steals.
not. He's not this. It's been years since
Yeah.
I think he's been a really solid second round player. I think it's been 2, 3 years already.
Yes.
Um,
Correct.
since he's changed his game, I think you know, just before he used to be a back to the basket player. Now he's like a 3 point shooter, shooting center, which is
Yep.
good in basketball sense because that's where the game is heading. But from the fantasy point of view, his percentage is not as good anymore. The rebounds are not as dominant, as elite anymore at this point. So I think he not worth the second round. I've never drafted him second round. Rarely drafted him the past few years because I just felt he was too high at that point. But yeah, to each his own. Let's see where
Yeah.
that leads us. Anyway, that's it for. Let me just end sharing. That's it for today's episode, guys. I hope that helped. We'll do another 5 in another episode, maybe the next one. And yeah, from there, as always, guys, please follow us, subscribe, and follow us on Twitter, Fantasy Benchwarmers on YouTube and Facebook. On Twitter, everyone thing link there below. Anyway, that's it. See you guys again in the next episode. Bye.